In the 1870s, immigration maps marked the best routes west and beckoned families to GTT, go to Texas. They came, mostly from the former Confederacy. This became clear as new counties and towns were added to the state, and lawmakers honored that period of the Texas story. Eventually, 29 counties in Texas bore names that are in some way directly related to the Civil War. New towns, like Granbury and Cleburne, honored generals who led Texans into battle, as did Hood County, Tom Green County, and Ector County. Valverde County remembers a battle fought in New Mexico. The full impact of the American Civil War and even turmoil in Mexico became apparent in ways both subtle and dramatic. Texas was booming in the 1870s, while threats to peace and prosperity diminished elsewhere in the U.S. After an economic downturn early in the decade, many people took advantage of that Texas prosperity to move there, and the state resumed its place as the land where a person could remake themselves and reimagine the future. Most of these newcomers came from the southern states of Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, and Louisiana. Others came from Illinois and Kentucky, and almost 90% of the people arriving were from the United States. Mexico provided some new Texans, and a few more came from Germany. The Blackland Prairie region was the most common destination, but nearly every corner of Texas welcomed new families. Whites composed more than 70% of the population, a growing proportion compared to African Americans. That community declined to fewer than 20% of the overall population, while the population with Mexican heritage shrank to about 6% of the state total. Even though Texas had seceded and suffered the consequences, it remained relatively undamaged by the war. Men from Texas had also fought bravely, earned a reputation for being excellent fighters, and had come home. As a result, many felt far from defeated. While thousands of Lone Star soldiers had died, far fewer had fallen than men from other states. The Federals had also never successfully occupied Texas. As a result, the people living in the state were able to move on with rebuilding their lives without having to languish amid the rubble of the Confederacy. Texas, as always, was vast. The great distances meant Reconstruction policies had been relatively benign and hard to enforce. So, Texas was once again the land of starting over. Plenty of acres remained ready to be claimed. Friends, families, and comrades from elsewhere took notice. As these new families surged toward Texas, they carried the politics and attitudes of the vanquished Confederacy with them. There was another change. The old Texians, the generation that had won independence from Mexico, was also passing into history. Men who had been in their late teens or early 20s during the Texas Revolution were now in their 60s, an advanced age when life expectancy for men was in their 40s. As the number of people who remembered those days dwindled, newcomers added their voices to the story. Texas, more than 50 years after the age of American impresarios and the arrival of Stephen F. Austin, was becoming a very different place.